It's another edition of Sandusky Speedway Facebook Live.
Hello to all the fans there at Sandusky Speedway. This is President Trump.
It's the weekly recap of all of last week's action and all the news that you, the fans, need to know. And now for your hosts, here are Doug Dock and the Colonel, Chris Mize.
And that Chris Mize, he's such a good statesman. Just a great, great man of the people.
Take it away, guys.
Here we are. We are taking it away.
First off, I want to thank all our veterans. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this show. All our military fighting overseas and homeland. We thank you for serving us. All our first responders, police, fire, EMS, nurses, doctors, we thank you guys for these times. I shaved tonight, Doug.
You're what?
You know that I shaved tonight.
That was nice of you.
Did you hear me?
Yes, I did.
Well, the boss is coming on, so you know.
Right, you gotta look good.
Had to shave and look presentable.
Right.
So, what we got going on tonight is we're gonna bring Kevin on here in a second. He's in the back. He's in the green room, right, Doug?
Yes, he is. Good job.
We're gonna go over what's going on Tuesday and then Wednesday for the last lap, and you know we're gonna talk a little bit about reminisce a little. So
all dedicated to Bev.
Right.
She touched all of us somehow.
Yes, she did. Right. So you might as well bring him on.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can see the ceiling of Kevin Jaycock's house. Hi there, Kevin. Welcome, buddy.
Chris looks beautiful.
I shaved just for you, Kevin.
What's up?
Figure the boss is coming on. I had to look good.
Yeah, you always do, buddy.
Well, first off, Kevin, as you know, the outcry of support has been just astronomical. Of what the people texting you and messaging you and reaching out to you all week. I don't think any of us three sitting, on the screen right now, honestly, we knew that there was a lot of people, but my gosh, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really been unbelievable. I think me and Doug were going through stuff the other day, and the one post that we had 27,000 views, and it had like 700 messages. It was it's crazy, and I really got to thank. Obviously you too, Stevie, people who checked on me every day. A couple people that can remain nameless because I'm sure they don't want the attention, but they've been really huge and helping me laugh, smile, whatever. But it's just unbelievable that the one thing that Bev never thought is that she mattered, here, at the racetrack. I guess she was pretty wrong because she did matter, and there's a lot of people that she would have been way overwhelmed of all the messages and everything else that's happened. So pretty amazing.
She mattered on race tonight. She mattered on race tonight when she come through that radio. Trust me.
yeah. I think everybody listened when she spoke because it was going to get good at times. Kevin Jaycox, call me. Call my phone. Oh man, we're gonna miss it.
I can remember
a couple other words.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll leave them off right now, but
right.
But it's been a tough time since I believe it was back in March, wasn't it? Wasn't it, Kevin? March.
Yeah, right. I came back in March, and Bev found out she had cancer in April.
All right, I know that it started. The pain started in March pretty bad, and then it's been a tough time. And the only consolation we have. The only thing is she's not suffering anymore. We can all say that. Moving forward, just real quick to Tuesday, the calling hours will be from 4 to 8 at Faith Memorial Church, and that's on Strub Road. If you're coming in 250, you make the right on Strub Road at PNC Bank. You go down, I'd say it's about a mile and a half, and on the right hand side there's a middle school across the street, and that's where the calling hours will be. Then we'll go back the next day. The funeral will start at 11. So, and that'll start out at Faith Memorial Church. When the process is done in the church, we'll have a procession out to Sandusky Speedway, and we will do one last lap and stop on the front stretch, and there'll be, some things said and that. And so if you guys aren't, the people out there, if you're not comfortable with sitting in a enclosed setting, which I understand, and that, you can go to the track. We should be out there. We'd appreciate if everybody was in there around 11, no later than 11:15, 11:20. If you're parking, please make sure you leave room for the procession that's coming out. We'll have some people out there that'll make sure that's happening. So, that should be a pretty big, I anticipate a lot of people at the racetrack.
We rented a church because obviously no funeral place could handle the size of this. So anybody wants to come to the funeral should be no problem getting in. I think we're allowed 200 people, so we should be pretty good.
With social distancing and everything, it was up. Yeah, it was pretty high, so you should be. But that's going to be a very emotional day. The next couple of days is going to be very emotional. But on the other side, Bev was such a strong person that I personally, I've become pretty tight with Bev in the last few years. Real tight, like Kevin said in one of his other things. We used to kind of gang up on his ass. he'd come home from a trip and sit down. We got to talk to you, But we wouldn't always win. I can tell you that. But we tried, But it's just a big part of Sandusky Speedway is going to be, it was one thing this year. We knew she was up the house. And she come back a few times to watch Kevy race, but now, you don't, it's just going to be, there's going to be a void.
I think the biggest memory I have of this past year was when I went to pick her up to watch Kev race. And all the employees were against the racetrack, and Kenny Sharp pulled up next to Bev. And we actually became like the pace truck, but people are on their feet. And that was pretty memorable and emotional.
Go ahead, Doug.
No, you're gonna make us cry there, Kevin.
All right, well, like I said, today's a rough day. I mean, it's a week ago today. So obviously, my kid, worry about him a lot. He's not taking this very well. Got to thank my grandson Ethan. He's probably Kev's been here every day, but Ethan's been here a lot. She's been here a lot. But they've helped a lot get through all this. But it's definitely it's life altering. And I guess me and Doug kind of talked about that a little bit about 15 minutes ago. On other things too, but it's just kind of messed up. It's first I never thought I'd be that I would outlive her. I always thought that she would outlive me. But it's going to be very different of not having that strong who would be willing to fist fight me over a decision.
Right. Yeah.
it's going to be weird not having that person that's going to do that.
She would be willing to fist fight you sometime.
Absolutely. We would go to dinner and he would bring up some harebrained idea, and they always sat across from me, and she would look at me, and I knew if this was going to go or not. And I go, well, Kevin, maybe we should. No, this is great. Think about it. And she'd be going, oh. Kevin, are you out of your mind? What's wrong with you?
You remember the rain out?
The best, Doug, is when I used to.
Remember the rain out that we had a while ago? Chris canceled the race because it rained. Then he should have. It was the right thing. And I had a driver come up and said that we did it because nobody was going to come, which thoroughly pissed me off. So I said, you know what? We're racing. Chris already met with the drivers. Told them we weren't.
I was in the middle of it.
Yep. I called Chris and said,
I was in the middle of a driver's meeting, man.
I called Chris and said, we're racing. I don't care what anybody says. We're racing. Next thing on the radio is, Kevin J. Cox, you are a dumbass. And well, there's a couple other words in there, but I've heard that many times. When Deb was on her deathbed and she really wasn't coherent, probably about 3 or 4 days before she passed, one of the things that she said, she woke up and she was obviously out of it. All I heard was, nice decision, asshole. And kind of reminded me that I made another bad decision. And I asked her what the decision was, and she was all out of it. But when you do something like this and you own a racetrack, you need that person that's going to fight you. Because a lot of these ideas are stupid, and a lot of them, they sound good in your head, but they don't make sense and they're not going to make money. And that's what she would be, that person that always fought. And, we really never agreed on anything. Other than probably hiring you two, that's probably the only two things we've ever agreed on. But it makes you think when somebody doesn't agree with you, why, and it's going to be kind of scary not having that. I know Chris and you two weren't afraid to argue with me, but the decision's really only mine, and that kind of scares the hell out of me.
Right.
I've made some bad decisions before, but it's kind of scary that I won't have that. So that's what I'm been kind of looking as, like an assistant. One that's going to be here around during the week that can help, and another one I could run stuff by that says you're an idiot. And I can take that. Definitely need it.
Well, you're going to be. You got a something to make T-shirts with? Because
we actually just bought a machine, a very expensive machine. It's supposed to be state of the art, the best you can buy. But that should be here. Actually, they just took the money out of my account, so that should be here next 2 weeks.
So we can.
Excited about that.
Mark wants to know if we can make a track shirt that says "Nice decision, asshole."
Absolutely.
All right.
Most people think we were talking about Chris Mize, so.
I'm gonna miss walking into that office. I want to talk to you in the back right now. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It was never how's your day or anything when I got that. I want to talk to you in the back right now. Oh boy. I just thought, what I do or Kevin do? You got to stop him. This is just stupid. What do you want me to do? I agree with him.
There wasn't many times, so you guys ganged up on me a lot.
Yeah, we did. But Sandusky Speedway, and Kevin, me and you talked about this the other day. It doesn't matter if it's me, whoever, Sandusky Speedway will go on. It'll continue to go. But we got a lot of recovering to do for the patriarch we just lost. And that's a hole that, you can fill the race director seat, you can fill that hole, you can fill someone over in the pits, you can fill a lot of different holes in a track, but that's something that we're going to be missing and missing sorely for a while. I mean, even though Bev wasn't at the track this year, believe me, she was back there in the mornings, and there was times I got an earful, or you know, before she went to the house, and I'm gonna miss that. You know, I really am. I'm gonna miss I missed it this year. I when you took her out for that lap when everybody was standing there, Kevin, I think I looked at Doug and I got on the radio and I said, Bev, please yell at me one more time, would you please? You know, but
Bev was so emotional on that. Good buddy. Was so emotional over that. She bawled her eyes out the whole time. I mean, happy tears. And I remember she said, my beautiful staff is what she said. And then she couldn't believe the fans were standing up. And she said, you remember this? She said, well, maybe I shouldn't want to sell this place, you know, and because she never realized that she mattered. You know, it's hard because people come to the window and they ask a question and she'd answer it and they'd say, well, if they like to answer this, I'll just find Kevin, you know, or I'll talk to Chris. Or she always thought it was about us, me and Chris and the drivers and everything else. She never realized that she mattered to anybody, you know, on race day. And oh my God, it's hard to talk about a lot of some of this stuff, harder than I thought it would be. But Bev lived for her kids, you know, Pamela and Kev, and the grandchildren, all of them. But that was who she was about. You know, she wasn't really about Sandusky Speedway. You know, a lot of people don't know that. You know, we bought Sandusky Speedway because of her. I didn't want to do this. You know, I never wanted to do this when it was her idea. And so we did it. Then I ended up being the one that wanted it more than she did. But she, her love for Kev and Pamela and the grandchildren was just amazing. And everybody that's on this or knows my family or whatever knows that Kev is by far the golden child of the history of golden childs. You know, he never did any wrong. I remember me and Kev got in a big argument one night, and Kev was of age, and you know, he was over 18 and he was still living here. And he got mad and he was going to show me he was leaving. You know, so he started packing his stuff up, and he was completely wrong. You know, he'd been drinking. He was completely wrong. And never forget, Bev walked up, whispered in my ear, and she said, he walks out that door, make sure your clothes are packed behind him. And, that kid did no wrong. And I looked at her and said, well, just remember who makes the money. So
that didn't go over well.
You know, you can follow him. But, you know, Kevin made it a whole 4 hours being moved out and was back home. But it's you know, she lived to see Kev race, and I bought Kev a Renegade this year to run some races, and it's more to keep. I knew what was coming ahead. I knew Bev wasn't going to make it, and it was more to keep him busy than it was anything. And something he enjoyed to do, and it's something he don't have to do every week. But when she found out that, you know, I got this Renegade, that was her favorite class. You know, she loved watching him race in that. And she didn't like watching him in the supers because of the speeds and all that. She does like the modifieds, but she really did like the class because we had a lot of fun back then. You know, it was a big difference. But if anybody ever had a clue if Bev did anything here, let me tell you something. She stayed at the house because I wouldn't let her leave the house because of COVID and going through chemo. But if I ran this place pretty much with you two, and well, Bobby Joe was a big help, but we all ran this place. And now I don't know how we did it, but if it would have been a regular season, a regular year, we'd have been in trouble. I mean, that's a lot of work. And it's an eye opener because I don't think I realized how much she did here. But going into this year, I was scared to death, you know, I mean, without having that help. And I got some pretty good friends that are pitched in, that are going to pitch in, and I'm confident that we're going to be successful. But it's more about proving what we can do now, without having one major part of this team. You know, we're going to be missing a couple major parts of this team, and to move on from that is fine, and it's different, but it's something that all three of us have taken to heart, that we're going to prove what we're about, prove what we can do, and prove that we're going to be successful, because we are, because we don't know how to fail. You know, I remember the first day I took over Sandusky Speedway, everybody said I'd be here 6 months, if that. A bunch of people said I'd be here 30 days. After the first race, I wasn't sure I was going to make it 14 days. You know, but, you know, what are we at? You know, 18, 19 years, and we're still here. And a lot of people have come and gone, and we're going to continually to fight. We're going to continually to help to figure this out. Like I said, I got a couple of people that have, you find out who your real friends are through all this. You know, you really do. You find out who the people you can rely on, you know, and I found those people, obviously you two, but I found those people, like my grandson, you know, Ethan has been amazing. You know, Ashley and Kev have been huge, but I found people that, I'm not going to mention their names, but they've been really, really true friends and beyond. And it's helped me get through this disaster, and I look forward to what it's going to help me get through in the future. So I know that's kind of babbling, but I'm really good at babbling. But there's I'm very lucky to find the people that I have to help me get through a lot of stuff. That made sense.
Just so it makes a lot of sense. You weren't babbling, you know. Moving forward, so everybody knows, in the next couple weeks, you know, the schedule, Kevin started to work on it, and, you know, Bev got worse. In the next couple weeks, schedule will come out for our weekly. About Thursday, I was going to put the Superior Stock rules up. Wayne Sweeney and Johnny Newman already know what the rules are. I'll get through, you know, in the next couple of days, and I'll get them rules up by Thursday, Friday. So I don't have people interrupting my post about late models. So they'll be up. I'll reiterate that Facebook again. So, and, you know, Kevin, you're right. We have, you know, me and my different ways before I joined forces with you, and you know, we both in this business. We've had failures, but we've learned from them failures, and you know, the old saying is, you get
according to Kevin,
together and these guys.
He did learn.
Huh?
According to Kevin,
Well,
he said you did learn from your failures.
Yeah, I've had a lot of them.
That's why
but
you join forces with
yeah.
us.
When you
know,
can't beat them, you got to join them, Chris.
well, that's you know, I keep saying I can remember sitting on a couch in your living room, 2017, I think it was 2017 in October, sitting with Bev actually, and me and Bev are both looking at Kevin going, we don't want to do this no more. Kevin, just give me one more year. All right, that's it. After 18, we're done. We're done, Kevin. Well, here it is, 21.
Yeah.
Bev looked at me last winter and goes, I was in the office one day, and she goes, what the hell happened here? I said, what are you talking about? She goes, isn't it 3 years ago we were sitting on my couch and we both said one more year and we're done, Kevin? Yeah, well, yeah, here we go. We ain't done yet.
Right.
So, you know, like I say, anybody that, you know, the funeral was put off for a certain amount of time because of the simple fact that Kevin knew, and actually the funeral director knew that there was going to be a lot of people. So they found this, you know, Faith Memorial Church. So if you do want to come to the funeral, like Kevin said, and be in a procession. There is plenty of room inside for you guys to be a part of that. If you want to just go to the track for the last lap, that's fine there too, but make sure you're there, no later than 11:15, please. So you're parked and sitting, and because it's going to be a big deal. So
yeah, it's going to be a long week for me. Obviously, I plan on going back to work at my job Thursday, hopefully, and then I got to have surgery sometime soon. So that's not a big deal, but there's you're right. Justin Toft has been amazing to work with, and he's done so much to put everything together and to walk me through step by step by step. But it was really, it's been really amazing. Ashley did something with me when it came to, going to the funeral home and stuff. I wouldn't like to do that. It's hard. I did it with my dad. It was really rough, but doing it with the relationship that those two had, there's no way I was letting them do that. No, it's hard, before we go into the other stuff, but it isn't, you want to go to sleep, that's the, you get tired and you want to go to sleep, but going to sleep isn't the hard part. You make sure you don't go to sleep because it's so hard to wake up and you see something that reminds you of things. But it's just hard to get to wake up, and every day that does get a little easier, and every day that kind of changes. Certain things happen. Stevie told me that you'll think that she's here or whatever, but that spent the last 2 months in a chair. She couldn't lay down. She had to sit up, so she slept in a chair, and that's pretty much what she did 24 hours a day. Is stay in a chair and sleep, but it's I just got to change. I kind of changed like where I'm living inside it. I got to change. I just can't go through it every day, and that's brutal. It's brutal to go through every day, and that's where people that have really stepped up, that have really came and made a difference in my life right now. And like I said, when you go through this, you really do find out who your true friends are, the people that you can rely on, the people that, and you would be amazed where they came from, of what you can rely on. Right. And Matt Barlow is, I don't want to miss him, is an unbelievable person. I think for months, Matt has texted me every day. And Amanda too. There's just so many people. Nikki Bartlemy, who we've always been close, anyways. But Nikki's always, she stepped up, but it's just amazing the people who really do care.
Oh, any last thoughts, Doug?
Who are you talking to, Chris?
I said, me and Kevin been talking most of this time. You want to say something?
No, I have a lot to say, but one of the things that I remember, Kevin, the one that really made Bev happy was we were in, I think, Birch Run, and she was in Barberton. And what we were going to do is meet up at the track after these races, and then we were going to Oswego. And we did do that. And she drove the whole way. And she bitched the whole way there that he's sleeping over there. And then about, 10 miles, 20 miles before we get there, he wakes up. Hey, you want me to drive? She was not happy. So we get to the hotel, we check in, and then we go straight over to Oswego. Now we're in the infield. You know how the infield is. There's no shade, no nothing, and it's searing heat. So she hasn't slept. I haven't slept because I had to keep her awake while he slept. And So we were drained. Now it's the end of the night. And what does she want to do? Let's go down. Let's walk down to the campsites. See some people. And you remember her words, do you?
I don't remember exactly, but I know they were probably mostly 4 letters.
Right. Right. You slept the whole way here.
I was ready to party.
Yep.
There's so many great stories.
Yes.
You know, I remember we were driving a racetrack on that race that I said we were gonna run, and the whole time she is just MFing me on the radio, and because the sun came out then, and she's just cussing at me. And we have one person sitting in the stands who she didn't even charge,
and he got in free.
Yep. And I remember Chris said, "Man, dude, you're in a lot of trouble here." And I said, "No," I said, "I still got a chance." And Chris goes, "What's that?" And I go, "I'm one lightning strike away from getting out of this."
Yeah, because she was standing at Checkpoint Charlie. And I said, "Gavin, man, this ain't good." She's pissed, and I knew she didn't have a radio. And Kevin goes, "I got one chance." And he goes, I said, "What?" And he goes, "That last cloud, one lightning strike away, and I'll be out of the doghouse." And I'm like, "Oh," and somebody gave her a radio and told her what you said.
Yep, that didn't go over good either. But
her other favorite saying was, when this turns into K Promotions, you can start making the decisions.
Yeah.
Until then, So
she really needed to
talk to me.
She really needed to check the corporate bylaws, because it really was K Promotion. She couldn't make a decision without me.
Right. It happened no times.
Yeah, no times. You're right. No times. But she was just an amazing, strong person, and the things that she did here will be hard to duplicate. I mean, it's it won't
be duplicated.
You know, but there's I remember Heimeiler 3 years ago. You know, we money was tight. You know, we sent off the electric. We weren't behind on anything, but we sent off the electric bill, and Bev gets a call that says, "This was Friday night.
Oh,
you're behind on your electric bill, and we need money right now, or we're coming to shut off the electric." And Bev says, "I'm not behind. I sent it." And she goes, "Plus one, you know, you're talking a day. You're going to shut it." Well, anyways, this guy was convincing and convinced her. You know, a lot of stress was going on at Heimeiler, so she fell for this. And the guy told her that he needed her to go to Walmart and buy gift cards. And so she drove her ass to Walmart. And she didn't want to bring it up to me. The only time I've ever thought Bev was not with it. And, you know, she never brought it up to me or Chris. She just did it. And so she takes this cash. She goes up to Walmart. And thank God the lady says, "What are you doing?" And she told her, and she says, "Honey, you're being scammed." You know, and she come back crying because she almost threw away $1,000. And she comes back bawling her eyes out. I probably didn't help that situation because she told me what happened. I was like, "Are you stupid?" Yeah. Well,
here's the Wednesday night at Heimeiler. Here's the Wednesday night.
You're way smarter than this. Why would you do this? And but we got through it. But that's probably the only time I've ever questioned anything Bev did management wise. But there's so many stories of Bev yelling. I my favorite. Actually, I guess this is probably my favorite all-time Bev story. Is me and Gary Wyckoff. We were working on the front sign, and we're working doing something. I forgot what it was, but we're working on it. Bev's cutting the grass over by the ball diamonds, and we're underwater in a bunch of places on that side. So she's just cutting where it's dry. And this is when all the ball came to over there. This guy drove right through our property, through the flood, and parked right at the guardrail and rutted up everything. Bev drove through this flood in the lawnmower, yelled at the guy, said, "You know, pretty much how would you like this if I did this to your property or whatever? Well, the guy called her the C word. And I didn't know the guy called her anything, but me and Gary are watching this. And Bev jumped off that lawnmower in that flood up to about her, up halfway to her calf. And she punched this guy right in the face. Then me and Gary just start cracking up. And I'm like, oh, the police will be here soon. So the guy calls the police. Me and Gary go back there to find out what's happening. She tells us what happened. And I laughed. I thought, you're lucky she didn't beat the hell out of you. And the police showed up. They actually ended up arresting him. And he had to fix my yard and stuff. But it was, she punched that guy dead right in the face and busted his nose up. And it was pretty funny. But she's tough. She was tough. She could probably scrap with anybody.
One thing she did, and we both got in trouble for it because we didn't stop her. Do you remember what that was?
Yes. Actually, I was at Lorain County Speedway, so I can't get blamed for stopping her. But my son, this is funny because now they're teammates, but something happened and Kenny Sharp was young then, and I guess my son and Greg had words, and like something came out that there could be somebody getting crashed in the future. My kid was new to modifieds, and he probably created something. But anyways, so they go out there, and Kevy ends up hitting Kenny. And so Bev, there's an accident. I'm not here. I was with the supers at Lorain. And Bev decides that she is going to show she's in charge, for the first time ever that has to do with a racing decision. So Bev walked on the racetrack and black flagged Kenny on herself, not having flagman did it. Did it? He
wouldn't do it. And she said, give it to me. I'll do it.
Yeah. So she did. She did. My kid pulls up, starts yelling at her. I said, I'm the one who crashed him. What are you doing? So anyways, they fix it. So she's walking back. People are booing, throwing stuff at her, cussing at her. So she makes it to the office enough time to call me to tell me what she just did. She's bawling her eyes out, and now I can hear Greg Sharp over the phone, just coming down the concession thing, just thoroughly pissed off and screaming. So she got Greg in the office, made sure Kenny got the right pay. But now Kev loves Greg. Greg's like a dad to him. They got a very good relationship, and Kevin and Kenny are really tight friends. And what's funny about all this is Bev and Kenny ended up being really good friends. And I still remember probably the most emotional part of the pace lap was Kenny pulling up, because you could tell he was struggling. He was struggling, and Kenny ended up, I think, won the feature that night. So, but it was definitely one of the. That was the dumbest thing she ever did. Was to walk on a racetrack and black flag somebody. I think she got that for me once, but when I did it, fans went nuts because I black flagged my kid. And so it's a little bit different, but it was there's so many good Bev stories that we could go all night and crack up about.
Is that the race that we had a driver race directing?
Yes,
Jimmy Carter.
Okay, so then that's when the whole fight happened, and then it ended up in the pits.
Yep. So, I remember Jimmy Carter race directed for me because I had to go to Lorain, and when it was over, he said, "You couldn't pay me $1,000 when I do this." And he goes, "Why do you people do this?" Jimmy was a great friend, and that's why I had him do it. I respect Jimmy a lot, of his knowledge, and plus he's really level-headed. But he said there's no way in hell he'd ever do that again, and he never did. He never did. But it's just there's a lot of good Bev stories. She was a great woman. It's been a really tough week.
Yep.
It's just I'm glad that she affected a lot of people's lives, and
she has.
And people don't like look at Joey Wyckoff. He lived here for a little bit. Joey was a big part of how Kev is how he is now, and the good and the bad. David Copcho, she had a big part in David's life, and Chris Nicastro, obviously. There's just numerous people that the grandchildren, especially Neve and Ethan. One of the last things that she said was thanking Neve and Ethan for letting her be her grandma. And that says it all right there of how she was with her family.
Unbelievable. Can't believe it.
So the committee did decide. I got this yesterday, and I was going to post it, but I thought it'd be better to do here because I knew we were going to do this. Bev will be put in the Hall of Fame at Time Island.
Awesome. And I remember having conversations with you both about Hall of Fame and Woman of the Year, and I said, Bev deserves that, and she was like, absolutely not. I don't want nothing to do with that. No, that
we've never been about that kind of stuff, the accolades of
right.
What the track does. I'm the longest tenured owner of Sandusky Speedway. I'm in the history of Sandusky Speedway, and I didn't even know that until Larry Bose told me. But I'm not in the Hall of Fame either, and I'm fine with that. It's about the other people who have made a difference. But I actually agree with what the committee said is, Bev should really be in there, and I really wish she would have lived to see that. That would have been obviously a huge deal. But especially to her, but it's just, I don't know. It's she never was about any accolades, not Woman of the Year, not anything like that. She didn't. That's not what she was about. It was about everybody else. It was never about her. And no matter, me and Chris, like Chris said, me and Chris have been in wars against each other. When he was at Mansfield or whatever. And then when we brought Chris in, it became even a bigger, tighter family. Chris and Bev became really good friends. How racing works. There's 8 million rumors out there. But but Chris and Bev were really tight, and it was like a brother-sister deal. And I know Bev relied on Chris as a friend for a lot of advice. And most of it had to do with either decisions I made or things I've done. But and Doug, we used to go out to eat every night, for a long time. Yeah. And yes, and your messages that you sent Bev that I know she never answered back on the cell phone, she did get those because I read all those to her, and there's a lot of messages. Lane Prince, who used to work for us, reached out to me, and didn't even know until Bev was on her deathbed. And I got to read all those, but I read as many messages as I could to Bev every day. And there'd be times that, I never stopped working at my job because I work from home. My office is next to the living room. So, but I was able to keep working. But when Bev was awake, I would go through and read all these messages that were sent. And then she'd fall asleep 10 minutes later and I'd go back to work. But it was, I don't know, the whole ordeal. I know Chris Mize is in the process of making an event in honor of Bev. I don't know what that's going to be because Chris hasn't talked to me about it yet. But Chris is pretty thorough on stuff before he ever comes to me on something because he knows all the questions that I'm going to ask. And he's very good at making sure that he has it all planned because he hates it when I ask a question and he has to go back and figure it out. So
yeah, you get that.
Yeah. I don't know, Kevin. I don't know.
I'll figure it out.
But I know Chris will come up with something special, and that's kind of important to my family that happened. So,
Chris was around in the early 2000s, then drifted away for whatever reasons. And he came back, and we're sitting at the picnic table.
In 2015.
First time that Chris was on that property since everything went down. And Bev walks in, and what's the first thing she says to you? She don't even say hi.
Let me tell you something right now. We'll be good if you don't F me. You F me and da. I'm sitting there going, holy shit, man. Hi, Bev.
And don't F us again.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember.
Mansfield.
I went to Bev and I said, I'm going to do this. And she said, what? I said, I'm going to call Chris Mize. I'm going to bring him in and have him be the race director. And I remember the look on her face. And she said, he's got two choices. He's got to pick a side, and he better never screw me over. But he's obviously the other way. But and it's so funny that I ended up being the one out of that group. You know, it was all Bevan Chris. and it was Kevin fighting, calling Doug up, going, "Hey, I need your help. I need you to back me on this." You know, I still do that, by the way, Chris. But it's so hard. When you get people like Chris and Bev being that tight, and me and Chris are that tight, and it's to have the family that we had and to lose a major piece is really going to be tough. And I'm lucky that I have two great friends in you two. Lucky that I have other great friends that have been around and are willing to help out. But I'm anxious to see where this is headed. I'm anxious to see if we can keep this going. Obviously, my big thing in racing now is mostly admin, you know, because I do have to take Bev's place and doing a lot of administrative stuff, where Chris has really taken over the rest of the business. But it's really, I'm going to be very, very interested to see where this goes. And I'm very excited where it's going to go. And every day is a life-changing thing. You know, something new happens in my life, or something exciting happens in my life, or it's my wife told me when we had our final days talks, and she'd already met with the kids and said her goodbyes, and it was really just me. I really didn't let, you know, me and her parents, we really didn't, it was really just us going to the hospice center. And but Bev said biggest thing that she wants to do is to move on and to be happy, and to make sure that I'm happy, and to make sure I move on. And I laughed because I said that's just stupid, but the other thing is that she knew that I wanted Sandusky Speedway to be successful, and that was the other thing that she wanted, is she wanted me to make sure that I bust my ass, and that this team busts their ass to make sure it's successful and we don't fail. You know, and I think that's what I got to keep in my mind, is that we just got to work our ass off and make sure that we don't fail. You know, and you know, with Stevie, and you know, we forget about him a lot, but you know, Stevie and Chris, well, you three that weren't family took it very hard when Bev passed. You know, that's a fact. You know, you ever see a big Chris in the driver's meeting and almost break down? I watched it hangover to the point where I actually left the property. I just got in my truck a lot, and to see Stevie, you know, send Bev letters and really broke down a lot. It's tough to watch your friends go through it, let alone know your family's going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Once again, we want to thank everybody for the ongoing support from day one. From, you know, the time that Kevin and Bev found out that Bev had cancer, and we announced it, that we want to thank everybody for that ongoing support, and you people that have been checking on Kevin. You know, he doesn't want to mention names. They really appreciate it. Jaycox family appreciates it. And trust me when I say this, Kevin, we will be successful. And you ever kick a person when they're down and they come back, it'll bite you in the ass. And
Sometimes you don't want to wake a sleeping bear.
And the bear's been woke.
Yeah.
Doug has always said, when I'm quiet is probably the most time that I'm contemplating something.
Yeah, something's going on in there.
And then there's certain things that have happened why this was going on. By other people, by other racetracks. We're not going to take it. I mean, if people think that we're just going to let other places do stupid shit against us, it's not going to happen. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I got a very good job. I make pretty good money. I plan on being around. I plan on handing the keys to my kid. That's my goal. That was what Bev agreed to when I told her for and that's my goal. Give Kevin Ash the keys and let them take over. And that's Ash has been huge. She's been there for my kid, been there for me. Really been the person that has tried to help the whole family, and I'm lucky that she married my son. But I will promise you this, and I'm sure that one of you is watching this right now. I'm not going to let you fuck. And I'm not going to let you set fences against stuff that no other part has ever done. You can take that. If you want yourself a wall, I promise you, I'm going to do that. And you can take that.
And we'll close on that.
We're going to the bank.
Notice has been officially served. So once again, thank you, everybody. Tuesday from 4 to 8 will be the calling hours at Faith Memorial Church on Strub Road. 11 o'clock, the funeral will start on Wednesday, and we'll make our way from there to the last lap at Sandusky Speedway. Thanks again for all the support through all this, Kevin and the Jaycox family and the Sandusky Speedway family. Really appreciate it. See y'all later.
Guys.
All right.
Yep.